Okay, with the channel's growth in the last couple of months, basically being exceptional for this little bit of the internet that I take up, I think it's about time that I do an introduction video to the channel for new subscribers, because in the last couple of months the subscription levels have shot through the roof, the numbers have skyrocketed, and I've got a lot of subscribers from all around the world outside the UK. Australia is a big driving force behind the growth in subscription numbers. Ireland, surprisingly, I've got a lot of subscribers and viewers from Ireland. And of course, the GAA, which is the Gaelic Athletic Association, so that's hurling and Gaelic football to everyone else. A lot of viewers from Ireland, and that is the national sport. The national sports are hurling and Gaelic football. But of course, rugby union and association football has a great history in the Republic of Ireland as well, and including in Northern Ireland, of course, as well. We can't forget Ulster Brethren from the north. So the island of Ireland, a lot of subscribers from Northern Ireland and the south as well in the Republic. But also a lot of subscribers from all around the world. And now, when this channel started out back in 2017, it was actually more of a personal video vlog. It wasn't sport related until about midway through 2017 when I had a bit of a eureka moment. And that eureka moment was Neymar leaving Barcelona on his record-breaking transfer to PSG. I don't think that transfer record gets broken for a very, very long time. And if you look at my football or soccer playlist, depending on where you are in the world and what you would actually call association football, because in North America and in Australia, for example, it is known as soccer, to distinguish it from the other footballing codes like American football or Canadian football or Aussie rules football or rugby league. They are also known as football, and I've done a video discussing the types of football, which is a video I did a few years ago, explaining the differences and the origins to one particular sport, and it branched off into multiple sports that we all love and enjoy today. Now, many of my subscribers would have subscribed particularly for that one particular sport or one particular league that I have done content on. So for my Australian viewers and subscribers, that would be the NRL or potentially the AFL. That would be the sport that they are hardcore fans of and they enjoy week in, week out, and live and breathe. In North America, it's a bit more interesting because you've got the 5 major leagues plus Major League Rugby has establishing itself in the last few years, and now we've got Major League Cricket. So the US is finally looking at the European sports like association football with the MLS, rugby union with Major League Rugby, and cricket with Major League Cricket. And at some point there will be a fully professional league that is rugby league based. In how they do that and how they organise that, time will tell. And of course, we've got the NRL games going to Vegas now on a long-term 5-year plan at the minimum. And of course, we've also got a Super League game going there next year and a Women's International game in Vegas on March the 2nd next year. So the growth of rugby league is in the US and to a certain extent in Canada is there. And I'm very interested to see how that pans out over the next 4 to 5 years. At the end of this 5-year cycle that the NRL has got itself involved in, will the Super League be a long-term partner in that 5-year cycle? Again, we shall wait and see. There's a lot of time to pass between now and the end of the decade, and it'd be very, very interesting to see the growth of rugby league in North America. A lot of my viewers came to the channel because of the football club history videos that I've done, and a lot of them weren't necessarily football fans, or association football fans, I think is the better way to say it, to begin with. They may have had a passing knowledge on some teams outside what we call the Champions League dominant teams, like your Real Madrids and Barcelonas and your Man Uniteds, your Liverpools, your Man Cities, your PSGs. A lot of them would not have really paid much attention to the vast majority of association football clubs that make up the European footballing pyramids in each individual country. And that's why I've not only done the leagues in the UK, apart from Northern Ireland and Wales. We haven't got there yet, but eventually we'll do a full breakdown of the football clubs in Northern Ireland. That's going to be very, very interesting because there is a lot of history behind just sport in the island of Ireland and how association football is the only sport where you have 2 separate nations competing at international level, whereas rugby union and rugby league, for example, and cricket, they play as one unified nation, and there's a lot of politics involved in that and administration issues involved in that and money. So we've done the league in the Republic of Ireland, we've got in Northern Ireland, and that's going to be fun. The engagement I get from doing those history videos, which is a cornerstone of the channel, The view counts aren't necessarily as big as some of the other videos that we do, like the breaking news stories, like a manager's got sacked or a player's in suspended or in trouble, there's a transfer. They make bigger view counts. But the history videos are great for the channel engagement in a sense that I get a lot of subscribers from those videos across the world. Across the world. Now, I am fully aware that in the last year or so, the majority of new subscribers ironically come from Australia. I'm a massive NRL fan. I've done a lot of NRL content over the last few years. I watch as many games as possible. The last couple of seasons, I've really started to follow the NRLW as well. And so there is a lot of rugby league content on the channel. I watched every game at the Rugby League World Cup a couple of years ago. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I still think there's a lot of room for improvement, but I think considering the situation the IRL found themselves in and the organising committee here in England with the COVID pandemic and delaying by a year, I still think they did better than I think expected, but not as well as hoped. I think that's the best way to describe how the World Cup went. There were some great games. It was great to see some new nations playing at the top international level, such as Jamaica and Greece. And I think with that new qualification tournament format they've got, plus the teams that have already been penciled in for the next World Cup in 2026, I still think we're going to have a quite good tournament in Australia and Papua New Guinea in 2 years' time. I really do believe that. Now, as I say, the channel and how we got to this point. 2017 started out as a personal video diary, and I've discussed the channel's origins before, but as I say, Neymar's transfer from Barcelona to PSG is the light bulb moment for me. And of course the ongoing protracted sale at the time of Newcastle United, where Mike Ashley's put the club up for sale and it's dragging on and on and on. And that did take quite some time, 4 years in fact, to complete the sale from Mike Ashley to the Amanda Staveley-backed consortium. Now, Amanda Staveley's now stepped aside from Newcastle United in her role, but the Reuben brothers are still involved, as is the Saudi Public Investment Fund. And that was a long-term, protracted saga that involved many twists and turns. And those were basically my two eureka moments. The first spurt of real growth was the 2017 Rugby League World Cup and the push to the semi-finals by Tonga. It was a fantastic story, and that's where I started to see a lot of viewers from Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific Island nations. The view counts from there were ridiculous and fantastic. And that's where I decided to go. I'm not just going to focus on association football here in England. I'm going to try and do as much sports content as possible on as many sports as possible, which is, I think, why this channel is unique in a certain way. Most YouTubers like me who aren't affiliated to any major TV network or any major website or news channel in regards to making sports content will focus on one sport or one league or one particular team. Fan channel. So you have your team fan channel. You'll have one of my favourite YouTubers, the hockey guy, for example, is primarily an NHL ice hockey channel. And it was born out of his fandom of a couple of teams in the NHL. He's now one of the best ice hockey YouTubers out there. And if you are new to the sport of ice hockey, or the NHL, or any league, because he does cover other leagues, or you are wanting to get into ice hockey, he's the guy I have referred many of my viewers to. I've even sent him some of my jerseys and some of my ice hockey memorabilia to add to his quite rapidly growing collection. And if you watch his channel there, he has almost every single jersey you can think of that's been worn since 1967 by an NHL team. It is ridiculous, his memorabilia collection. And again, that's a cornerstone of his. That's his unique selling point. This channel's unique selling point is the variety of sport that we cover and the variety of different leagues around the world that we cover. And as I say, the football history videos are fantastic for engagement, and some of the comments on them who go, I've subbed to your channel because this is the first time my particular club has really been covered in depth by someone that isn't a fan channel of that particular club. It's a different perspective. Someone's finally discussing our successes in the past and where our club has been in the past to where it is now. Yes, those videos are dated as soon as I make them because the following season comes along or the rest of the season is completed, and then that team may get promoted or relegated, win a trophy, go through some turmoil, have administration, for example. So they are a little bit dated as soon as they're done, but they're still fun. I love researching all that stuff, making all the notes, and doing my research, looking at the best players the team has ever had, or the most appearance record, or the goals record, or the highest transfer fee paid, the attendance records, the first game, their biggest win, their biggest loss, their different stadiums, ownership, the trophies they won or not won, the finals they've won or the finals they've lost in cup competitions. It's great fun to just go into every single club. Some clubs are a little bit quicker to do because either they're very, very young or they haven't been very successful, or they've been pretty mediocre. Other clubs have been successful in periods in their past and have hit lean times. They're the ones I like looking at. And I cover leagues all across Europe, and I've done some leagues in South America as well, and I do aim to try and do all the European top flight leagues and second tier leagues at some point. That's a lot of clubs to go through, and then I will look at South America, like the Uruguayan league, the Argentinian league system, Brazil, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Paraguay, Bolivia, Venezuela, the Central American leagues, the Mexican league, and eventually do more content on the MLS. And that is going to be a lot of fun, I will admit that. In regards to future content, the channel is now very, very close to the first stage of monetization, which is channel memberships, super chats available in live streams, and merchandise. We are so close. I didn't think we would get as close as this as quickly as we have over the last 12 months. I have set some channel goals that I think are attainable and realistic. I'm not going to say I'm going to be a millionaire out of this. Far from it. But I do enjoy doing this. Now, on the subplot to all this, I have a full-time job. So this is still just a hobby. It is a hobby, and it's a fun hobby to have. Yes, I still have a full-time job. I would love to this channel to be fully monetized, have that merchandise available for you guys, have memberships available as soon as possible, super chats in live streams. I would love for that to be a reality right now. It isn't the case, unfortunately. I've got to go through the application process. We've got to hit that view hours threshold over a 12-month period, which we are ridiculously close to hitting. And we have to go through all that process. The full-time job does mean that some days I can't post content when I would like to, and it is frustrating. And with my work at the moment, we're going through some structural changes, and so for the next couple of weeks, uploads may be even more patchy than I would like. My ultimate goal is to do at least one video a day if I can. That isn't always possible. I did set that goal at the beginning of the year, and unfortunately we haven't quite met that goal. But at some point I would like to do a minimum of one video per day. Some days you'll notice I do multiple videos, especially when I'm doing football club histories. I can go down a rabbit hole and do 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 clubs in a day. I have been known to do that, and that is actually exceptionally exhausting. Another thing you'll notice about this channel, I do every single video in a single take. I don't stop and then edit. There's none of that whizzes and bangs, and there's no green screen. This is literally my studio apartment. And a lot of my sports memorabilia is in boxes over there. It's a bit of a mess, but it's a bit more of a natural feel. I like to think of myself as simple, natural, and I'd rather you guys listen to what I'm saying rather than worry about the background. But unfortunately, I'm limited for space. You will notice in older videos, the whiteboard came out. And that was fun for a while because the lighting worked. Where I was living, it was more practical to use the whiteboard. At the moment, I would have to completely rotate everything. I'd do some feng shui in the apartment, and I just do not have the space to do that. And the lighting in this apartment is not as good as the previous one, or where I was living before, which again would render the whiteboard pretty ineffective. But it is fun. I might get it out in the future and start using the whiteboard again. I might go through some of my sports memorabilia video, and do some more sports memorabilia content because I've gained some more since the last time I did a sports memorabilia video, and going through my favourite memorabilia, my favourite jerseys, and my collection, which is sizable, but it's not as sizable as I would like it to be. I would like to have more memorabilia. At some point, I may decide to turn and get some clothing racks and hang all my jerseys up. I get some poster kind of boards and put some posters up and some of my other sports memorabilia, and actually sort of turn the apartment into more of a set. But that's again a plan for the future. But as I say, I thought I'd just give a brief introduction. So yeah, a lot of my new subscribers are NRL fans, for example. I do cover other sports, but I will also continue to cover the NRL. I cover cricket, Aussie rules, obviously association football, rugby union, international rugby league. I cover the major leagues in North America when something happens that I think is discussion worthy. And with the major leagues in North America now taking pre-season and regular season games overseas on a more regular basis, which was all started pretty much in the modern sense by the NFL going to London in 2007, although the NHL has been taking games overseas since the 30s, but all the major leagues now in North America, bar the MLS, now take pre-season and regular season games overseas to new markets. That is discussion worthy. So yeah, but there we go. So thank you very much for your time. I know this is a bit of a longer video than normal, but I thought I'll give an introduction to the channel for all those new subscribers. And I would love to hear your feedback, what sports you like, and what sports you want to understand more about or learn more about, because that's where those history videos come in. And on another point, I also do athlete profiles. So a retired player of a sport or a retired athlete, I will look at their career, their successes, their failures, how many international tournaments they've won, or individual medals they've won, or their trophy cabinet, so to speak, their careers, what teams they played for, who they play for internationally. I have done player profiles basically and looked at a individual's career. I've done it with football players, I've done it with rugby league players, I've done it with cricket players, tennis players, and I'm more than happy, again, if someone puts in an athlete's name or a high-profile sportsman's name, to look at their sporting career, their successes, their failures, their high points, their low points. That's always kind of fun to actually do an individual profile of a player or an athlete and really research, how they got into the sport, when they were at their best, when they were at their lowest. Controversies are always interesting. And as always, there will also be breaking news stories as well that I think are channel worthy and worthy of deep discussion. But anyway, that's enough from me rambling for now. Thank you very much for getting through 17 minutes of my rambles and getting off tangent. I really appreciate it. Place all your thoughts in the comments section below. What is your favourite sport? The teams you support? Why you how and why you stumbled across the channel? Why you've stayed subscribed? Why you did subscribe? And from me for now, thank you very much for watching. And I will have some more sports content for you guys very, very soon.